Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Max, and today I'm going to be talking about the new clip from the Batman. Alright, so we have seen, I believe, 3 clips now from the Batman, not counting the trailers, but actual clips. And this is by far my favorite one. Yes, I really did enjoy the funeral clip, but this one hit a lot harder for me in terms of where they're going to be taking these characters. So if you haven't seen the clip, the one I'm referring to is this scene where Batman and James Gordon, possibly Commissioner Gordon, we're not exactly sure where he is going to be at in this point in time in the Batman, but nonetheless, James Gordon and Batman are talking to each other, and they're being very hush-hush about these cops they're discussing. James Gordon is pointing out some of the cops in the GCPD to Batman and slipping him possible information that he can work off of connected to the Penguin and just about the cops in general. And I think this is incredible because we've never seen a dynamic like this between these two characters before. Yes, in films like The Dark Knight or even Justice League, we've seen Batman and Commissioner Gordon discuss and work together, but I don't believe we've ever seen anything quite as strong as this. And what I mean by that is it usually seems like with all the portrayals of the past, James Gordon is more of a side character that helps Batman at points or may give him information, but he's also kind of leading his own life. And I do think we will see that aspect of James Gordon as well, but it seems like here they're really focusing on his relationship with Batman, and I really like how they're doing that because not only does it set it apart from other versions we've seen, but it really lets you know where James Gordon's head is at. I think sometimes, he's kind of always outside of the corruption of the GCPD and he doesn't take part in it. But here you really see kind of his disgust for it, I would say. He's very into everything Batman is doing, and I think he sides with Batman a lot too, which is a great concept to me because it seems like their partnership throughout this movie and however many movies they make after this one will really be a partnership that benefits both people because it seems like James Gordon does not want these cops in the GCPD, and of course Batman does not want criminals around regardless. So I think that's incredible. But the big talking point from this clip is when Batman punches James Gordon. Now, I've seen a lot of people in reactions and tweets kind of be confused by why this would happen. And I can only think it's something that happens off screen, or it's discussed off screen as to why Batman would punch him. And what seems most logical to me is that James Gordon will ask Batman to punch him. And because Batman will do anything, as we've seen in the trailers, he beats people up for threatening him and walking towards him. So I think if someone asks him to punch them, he's going to do it and he's not going to ask any questions. And this just, again, assuming the case is that James Gordon wants Batman to punch him, so it does not seem like they're working together, I think it's a great concept because a lot of times it is very known that James Gordon is working with Batman and it's frowned upon. We saw that a lot in the Dark Knight trilogy, which I think was a good aspect to kind of bring Gordon into question when it comes to Gotham City. But I like it more, I think, here, what they're doing in the Batman, because it really makes it seem like James Gordon does not want to be a suspect of anything that could be going against the GCPD. And it really makes me think of a show like Gotham, because a lot of Gotham focused on the corruption of the GCPD. We saw people in that show slipping information to different characters throughout it, or even the Riddler started working at the GCPD. So I think we could see a lot of that. I don't know if we'll necessarily see any villains come out of the GCPD, but I do think we might see some people in there feeding information to the Riddler, or Falcon, any other characters that may pop up that want insider information from the GCPD. I think there are absolutely people in there who will slip information. And like we heard in the clip, I believe Commissioner Gordon said about one of the cops in there that he could have connections to the Penguin. So I really like how they're already setting that very corrupt tone for the GCPD, because you have to remember, we have a GCPD show coming up based on the Batman. So it is set before the Batman, and I think this movie is really going to get everybody even more excited for more content in that world, because it's going to show us what we can expect. And I think as far as a GCPD show goes, one set in Batman's earlier years could be really interesting, because you might start to see in the beginning of the show how corrupt everything really is. And then when Batman comes into play, it starts to become more of an underground thing. So, I see no wrong with any of this. Now, if Batman did punch James Gordon for no reason, I don't like that as much. I still think it plays into this extremely aggressive version of Batman that's been talked about by people like director Matt Reeves. But I do think if it is something that him and Gordon set up, or maybe James Gordon says, hey, you need to make it look like you're attacking me, and Batman actually punches him, which I think could be kind of funny. Who knows? But I do think Matt Reeves has a vision for this movie that he has set, and everything I've seen so far, I absolutely love. I have seen no flaws. All of the trailers have looked perfect, and it's crazy to believe that this thing is going to come out in under a month. It's been so long we've been waiting for this. I remember, before I had this YouTube channel, like 2.5 years ago, 3C Films, I was watching his breakdowns and heavy spoilers, and there's so much that we don't know about this movie, which I really like, because just looking at past movies such as Spider-Man No Way Home, we knew, like, if you were looking in the right places, you knew what was happening in this movie, and it was confirmed that a lot of the leaks were true. But with the Batman, like, we've seen some stuff, we've seen some leaked photos, we've seen some possible script stuff, and, Reddit leaks and all that. But we really don't know what's going on in this movie, and I really like that, because this seems like the kind of movie you want to experience as a whole, and not as this thing where you're like, oh, I read about that online, and it kind of takes you out of the moment. I think this movie is going to be very grabbing, and it's going to pull you in, and there's not much more to say. I am so excited for this movie. I cannot wait to see it. I'm going to see it multiple times opening day, I already know, and yeah, so that's about all I have for now. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.